Hello, everybody, and good afternoon this beautiful Monday. First Monday of spring, and I thought, let's do something outside because it's so beautiful. And I happen to be visiting family this week, so changing up the scenery, and I'm really excited about today's show. Today's show, and forgive me if I move the camera around, I'm trying to figure this out. If you are grieving, as many of you know, I'm a grief specialist. I am a marriage and family therapist, mental health counselor, 18 years in the profession. And today we're going to talk about rhythm and sound and why we heal through other modalities that are not necessarily talking. And even as a therapist, people assume that if they go to the therapist, the only thing they're going to do is talk. And while, yes, talking is my favorite thing to do, hence why I have a podcast, and I believe in therapy and dialogue, but there's also other ways that we can heal that don't involve talking and thinking. And what I found out through some research is going to be so interesting because it goes against everything that we think, and it also goes against things that we might see on YouTube or Facebook or social media in general that say, tap into this frequency and you're in the frequency of God or you're in the frequency of the angels. And I'm going to shed some light and some truth on sound healing, healing through rhythm, and healing through music. Because if many of you saw my post last night, I was dancing. I'm a ballroom, pro-am ballroom dancer. Been on a little hiatus here, but I've been dancing since I was a little girl. I love to dance, and I find that it is incredibly healing, as is music. Music's part of why I love dancing. I love feeling the rhythm, and my brother is a professional drummer, and we were having so much fun yesterday hanging out. He was playing the drums, I was jumping around and dancing, and I realized that we come from the same family. He expresses himself through the drums, which I used to play, by the way, a little bit. And I express myself through movement. Not only do I ballroom dance, I used to do ballet, tap dancing, jazz, and I always loved to have music on. And I finally figured out why it is so good for the nervous system, and I'm going to share it with you. So I think where we're going to start is if you're watching this, chances are that you're going through something, that you might be a little anxious about something, you may be grieving something, depressed. As a grief specialist, I talk about grief a lot, but all of us get into those funks in life where essentially we lose our rhythm. And that's almost exactly what happens. We don't have the beats, we don't have the rhythm of life, we go inwards, and we don't know how to get out. So today's show is really going to be talking about how to really quickly shift your state of being from grief, depression, anxiety into a much more preferable state. And it's really fascinating how our brains so quickly pick up on vibration, music, dancing, beats, rhythm. And there's a real scientific reason for that. And I'm going to explain it to you, and then hopefully we can get some really great ideas of how to heal ourselves, or even just shift our state out of depression or grief or anxiety so fast once you learn how to do it. It's not as hard as it looks. Okay? So I'm going to be looking at a lot of notes today because I did a lot of research for the show and I can't definitely remember it all. So we're going to start out with just everybody think for a second, what is my state of being right now? Am I feeling depression, grief? Did I just lose someone I love? Am I very anxious about something? Because most of the time we go through feelings like that even in the course of a day, right? Sometimes the course of a week, a month, a year. We all go through that. And it's a natural response that we have to our environment. It's a natural response that we have to how we're thinking about something. And we're usually taught in school or by therapists, by anybody, let's talk it through. Let's really think this over. And then what happens is, as we get that message, every time we get depressed, upset, grieving somebody, we go right into, who am I going to talk about? Who am I going to talk about this with? Who am I going to think about this with? So you may come to the therapist, me, or you might go to a friend and say, hey, I need to talk this through. I'm in a funk. I'm not motivated. And everyone's going to tell you, let's talk about it. Find someone to talk to. Think about it. The problem with always talking and thinking is that it tends to lead us into a state of overthinking. Now, everyone on the planet does this because, and I know this is a fact, because we naturally have a nervous system that as soon as we get anxious or nervous and our cortisol starts raising, which is why you feel so icky when you're stressed or sad, when that cortisol starts releasing in your body as a natural response to a difficult event, we start thinking and thinking and thinking and overthinking, and we feel like a hamster on a wheel. Now, being a therapist for 18 years, if I had a dime for every time somebody told me I can't stop thinking about it and I'm overthinking, I would be an incredibly wealthy woman, because this is such a common problem for everybody, no matter grieving someone or not. We have a brain that is naturally programmed to overthink something when we're under stress, because the brain just wants to survive. So the brain thinks, well, if I can figure this out and I can go through every worst case scenario and I can think of every negative thing that could possibly happen, then I'll be safe because I'll be prepared. That is a lie. That is the natural nervous system. Don't ask me why we're programmed this way. I think just for survival instinct. But it doesn't always, it's not so helpful, especially in a modern world, right? Because we think so much, we don't eat, or all we do is eat, we sleep, or we can't sleep. We go to these extremes because the brain is trying to figure out, in the nervous system, how can I be prepared and safe when X, if X happens. So as soon as we're asking ourselves, what if, that's your cue that you're starting to become anxious. And if you think there's nothing I can do, I'm totally powerless, that's more depression talking. So when we're under stress, we usually bounce back and forth between hyper-focusing on the future, what if, what if, what if, what if. And if we're focused on the past and we get caught in a depression, we think, I give up, I give up, I give up. I'm powerless. There's nothing I can do over this situation, so I'm going to do nothing. And this is just natural human behavior. So if you're watching this and you're depressed or you're overthinking, or all you do is eat, or you can't eat at all, or you can't sit still, and you find yourself very irritable, those are all signs that you are probably overthinking about something and you're stressed. So if everyone just watching just thinks about, okay, what's my state of being right now? When am I really stressed? And what am I stressed about? And once you identify that, start thinking about, okay, how many thoughts have I had today about this one stressful situation? And you would be blown away. Scientists say we have over 60,000 thoughts in a day. In a day. So when we're overthinking and we're thinking and thinking and thinking, trying to prepare ourselves for this horrible thing to happen, we are not present with life. We can't focus. We can't get our work done. We can't fully participate in our relationships. We can't concentrate. Everything gets off. Everything goes off. So we're going to talk about why that happens and how we can use music, rhythm, dancing, different beats that you see all over YouTube, binaural beats. We're talking, what is that? Does it really work? Sound healing, energy healing, do these things really work, and why? The answer is yes, they can work. Different strokes for different folks, meaning, some people will find great relief from sound healing. Some people think it's a waste of time. That doesn't mean it's anything about sound healing. It's just how your particular body responds to rhythm and to beats. and to music, right? All of it. All sound is vibration, and it's how our brain and our ears and our somatic body responds to certain kinds of beats and certain kinds of music. That's why we're all a little bit different, okay? So we all have a nervous system. I have to pull out my notes. We all have a nervous system, and the nervous system is basically the brain. And I'm not going to get into the whole anatomy of your brain, but you have a brain, and you have a part of the brain called the amygdala, and that's in the back of your brain. And the amygdala sends electrical signals to muscles and joints and fascia in your body. This is all scientific facts. It's not nothing. Look up any research, you'll see. Our central nervous system, our amygdala in the back of the brain, sends these signals, these stress signals, through our head, which is why we get headaches, through our jaw, which is why I'm a big grinder. When I get stressed, we grind our teeth. That's a message of stress being sent from the brain to the jaw. People think they're having a heart attack when they get tightness in their chest. That's the fascia and the muscles reacting to a stress response. We get stomach aches because that same stress message is going down the vagus nerve and spreading all through your body. So we get blown up in our stomachs. We don't feel good. We have aches and cramps, better known as IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, or we throw up, we get upset stomach. These things are all stress responses. There's nothing strange about it. There's nothing wrong with you. Everybody goes through this at one point or the other. Let's keep going down the body. The stress signal sometimes hits our hips, our lower back, and it's connected to the psoas muscle. So think of the vagus nerve coming down like a tree branch, spreading stress signals to every organ of your body, including muscles and fascia. And then eventually in the pelvis area, it passes that message along to the psoas muscle. And then we get weak in the knees, we get pains in our feet and our legs, etc., etc., etc. And we get sensations in our body of heat or cold, right? We get the chills if we're really upset, or we start having, oh God, I'm having a hot flash. I feel like I'm suffocating. These are all anxiety symptoms, and there's a physiological reason that this is happening, and that's why I just explained it to you. Oh, whoops, my dog wants to run away with my tripod. Roxy, get back here. Okay, so what do we do about this? How does sound and vibration, music, how do those things help us? And this is what's really cool. Okay, so when we're in a depressed state and we're overthinking, that would be considered, if a neurologist, oh my God, I can't even talk today. If a neurologist were to measure your brain waves, which they can do in a lab, okay, they measure electrical output, and they can identify the different kinds of brain waves that we're having in any particular moment. And then we have the nervous system, which I just described, which is how our body physically responds to stress. So we have two things happening when we're under stress. We have brain waves, which send signals, and then we have the nervous system, which sends all the signals through our body, which is why we have so many physical issues when we're under stress. It's not connected. It's very connected. In fact, of course, being a therapist, I believe that probably 90% of physical ailments are emotionally related. There's a lot of debate about that. I'm not getting into it, but that's my belief. Okay. So when you come to see me, when you come to see the therapist, you come to watch this, chances are your body is under stress. Your nervous system is telling you something's wrong because it's trying to protect you. And your brain is giving off a certain signal, and those signals basically dictate what happens to the nervous system. So it's like a big cycle, brain, body, and they're always connected. So think about that. Think about your symptoms. Think about what you're going through. It's all connected. When we come to see the therapist, we are typically either in one or two brain states. We're either in what we call beta, and beta is like a very active brain wave, very active, thinking about this, what about that, what if, oh my God, what if this happens, what if that happens, I better prepare, I better think this through. That's beta. And that sends one type of signal to your nervous system. And then we have a very slow brain wave, which that would be, okay, freeze, shutdown is low energy, numbness, overwhelmed, very common with grief. And so beta is usually our overthinking, anxiety, trying to figure things out. Then we have the freeze, shutdown with low energy, numbness, overwhelmed, common in grief. We have alpha. Alpha is calm, present, the beginning of feeling safe. Theta is emotional processing, healing, deeper awareness. And gamma, which is really interesting, we'll talk about that later, brief moments of clarity and insight. So when you're in gamma, apparently it doesn't last for very long, but when you're in gamma, you get this aha moment. You get this clarity, like, oh, I get it. I get it. So when you come to the therapist, you're either in freeze and shutdown, you're not really producing much of anything because you're not connected to the world around you, you're not connected to your soul, you feel separate from everything and you compress, you go inward and you shut down. Or you're in beta, which is, oh my God, I'm stressed, what am I going to do? I'm having so much anxiety. When you come to me, as soon as you sit with me, might take a few minutes, but you're going to immediately start to feel alpha. So we can switch from beta, stress and anxiety, to alpha fairly quickly if you know what you're doing. And I'm going to, of course, tell you how. So when we're in alpha, so if we were in a neurological lab and our brain waves were being charted and looked at, observed, when you come to see the therapist, you're in beta, and as soon as you sit down with another person who feels safe to you, right? So you can't just go to any therapist or talk to any person and have this work. You have to be selective because we co-regulate our nervous system with other people. That's why if we're around someone who's anxious, we tend to pick up on it. We'll say, oh God, I don't really like being around this person. They're too anxious. Why is that? Because nervous systems, we pick up on everything and we tend to co-regulate. So when you sit down with a therapist that's calming, that you trust, that you feel safe, immediately or within the first 10 to 20 minutes, my clients will tell me, oh my God, I feel so much better. And it's not necessarily because of magic. It's because I'm regulated. So when someone who's not regulated sits down with me and we start working on things, they automatically feel safe and they go into alpha. And alpha is the most common, probably the most common state of relief that we get after we calm down. So beta to alpha. So when you go to the therapist, you're in alpha. Let's say this, you want to be getting into alpha. You want to feel present and calm and engaged in the situation and feel like, okay, this person gets me. He or she's not judging me. They're listening to me, and your body and your brain pick up on that immediately, right? So for a dramatic example, you wouldn't go to a therapist who's screaming and yelling and jumping up and down, right? That would keep you in beta. So this is something that we don't learn about, but it's really important. And I'm going to get to the point of how music and meditation and all these things can help you. All right. So once you're in alpha for a little bit, you're feeling safe, you're starting to calm down, you feel present, you're not in the beta overscanning anymore. Then we get into what's called theta. And theta is emotional processing, healing, deeper awareness. So that comes to the point of our session or a conversation with someone when we go, oh, okay, I can finally relax. God, I've been anxious for days and I couldn't come down from it. We want ideally to be in theta, right? But all of these brain waves are constantly changing, and they're constantly sending messages to our nervous system, and they tend to change according to our environment and according to our inner world. What's happening inside, we blame the outside because it seems like obvious. If something happens outside of me, that dictates how I feel. But actually, something you'll learn in therapy with me is the opposite. You'll learn that it's the inner world that shapes your outer world. It's actually backwards, but we're not taught this stuff. This is like you're getting some really good information here. So we go from beta into the therapy session with me. You come down into alpha, and then eventually we get to theta. So you may have seen, I see this on YouTube and Facebook all the time, and Instagram. They'll have these things like, I'm a theta healer, or get into the theta state by listening to this video, or this will calm you down. I mean, there's apps, there's everything. Sound healing is like really big right now. And, does it really work? I would say it can. It's a possibility. And I'm going to explain how that can help, but we're not there yet. Okay. So gamma is probably the ultimate brain state. And I do a lot of meditations that get me into gamma. And when I do energy healing on people, I'm able to get them into the gamma state. But that's a very deep, regulated state that we just don't have access to, generally speaking, on a normal basis. And we think when we're under stress that staying in the beta, staying, freaked out and overthinking, that's going to solve the stressor, but it makes it worse. And this is why there are certain situations and certain times in life where thinking does more harm than good. And I think we all know that truth somewhere deep inside of us. And we're all guilty of it. It's just the way the human body is programmed. So what our job is, and what my job is, to teach people how to go from the heightened gamma state, or that freeze shutdown where we just feel paralyzed, and, going to the bathroom seems like a major, physical hike. All right, that's depression. My job is to help you learn how to get from shutdown and beta into alpha, theta, and eventually gamma. So these are the actual brain waves that you create involuntarily, depending on what you're going through. And most of us are conditioned to believe that my outside circumstances must change in order for me to feel calm again. And it's logical to think that way, and it makes sense, but it's actually not the truth. And I'll die by this truth. Regulation comes first. The feeling of safety comes first. You cannot access a calm state. You cannot access the external world you want when you're living in overthinking, high stress, high cortisol, beta waves. You can't, because your nervous system is constantly being triggered. You have aches and pains. You have shallow breathing. People get stomach aches, back aches. I mean, you name it. And it's not your fault. It's just the way we're programmed. That's why what I'm saying today is so critical to learn. It's really important, because once you get the hang of this, you can shift really quickly. I swear to God you can. Okay? So think about something right now. Just, maybe take some notes and jot this down. But think about right now, when do I feel that safety, calm, lovely feeling that I wish I could feel 24 hours a day? And some people will tell me, oh, Elizabeth, I feel like that when I'm at the beach. Or I feel like that when I'm laying in bed with my spouse. Or I feel like that when I sit on my balcony. Or I feel like that when I'm dancing. For me, it's movement. When I really want to access a calm state, I've got to move my body. I've got to take a walk, do yoga, dance, something. That's not for everyone. That's just how I'm wired, right? So I access the gamma state, that deep, wonderful, blissful feeling through yoga, meditation, running, dancing, weightlifting. A lot of people have that similar personality, but not everybody, right? So if you're someone that loves to move your body, it's much easier to access the gamma state and the theta state and the alpha state. You've got endorphins moving when you're moving your body. You've got blood circulating, oxygen circulating in your body. So everybody knows this, right? They'll say, oh, I feel so good after I work out. Well, because after you work out, you're in alpha, theta, or gamma. You're out of beta. You're out of the overthinking, okay? Now, for those of you who don't want to move your body, who don't care for that, which is totally fine, I want to talk about music, sound vibration, and different sounds that you can use to access these deeper states of safety and relaxation. And it's not as difficult as you think. Okay? Now, a lot of times, I'm going to put this little disclaimer. A lot of times when people are in deep grief, they do not want to listen to music. I've been through that. Okay? I know what that feels like. And the reason, there's a scientific reason for that. When we are in deep grief, we're in the freeze, low frequency state. We're compressed. And when we're compressed, it's almost like we're not even emitting any frequency. So music feels like, it's too loud, or it's going to bring us down into sadness, or it's going to do something. That's for some of us. Some people can't even concentrate watching TV. It's too much for them, right? Because the state of their brain is too low to actually connect to the vibration of watching something. It's fascinating if you think about it. It's really interesting. So for those of you who don't like to move your body, you could try music. And a lot of times music can immediately change your state of being. So think about what kind of music makes you joyful or happy or relaxed, whatever state you're trying to access. And you can take 3 minutes and put on your favorite song. It'll change your state of being. It will. You can access nature sounds or the sound of a burning fire on YouTube for free. And when we access these nature sounds, the reason that it works is because our brain waves will automatically try to match and connect to a frequency of sound. So it can happen that fast. It really can. And I think everyone's probably tried this before. Or think about when you're driving in the car and your favorite song comes on and you're like, for 1 minute, you just forget about everything. And you're dancing and you're bopping around and you're singing to it. Your brain is connecting to the frequency of that music through sounds. Literally. So why do people like to walk in nature? Why am I sitting outside in nature today? Because it feels so relaxing, because my brain is automatically connecting to the sound of the wind, the leaves rustling, the birds chirping. That actually does something to you. And we can access this, just through YouTube. Just type in rain, nature sounds. Some of my clients love to listen to nature sounds when I'm doing energy healing on them, because it actually is helping their brain connect to a different wavelength. And it's really beautiful. So, whether it's drums or music or chanting or nature sounds, it's a really great way to train yourself to very quickly shift state of being from grief, depression, or beta, overthinking, anxiety, right into something more calm and more grounding. It's very, very simple. It's very simple. So we're also going to talk about meditation in a minute, but I just want to make sure everyone's following me and everybody understands that this shift of state of being can be very quick. And can we maintain it all day? Probably not. Probably not. We're probably going to have to learn how to maintain it by repetition. And we're probably just going to have to learn that these states of being are accessible, but let's be patient, right? You can go from grief, depression, and beta waves to alpha, but you can't necessarily, well, I shouldn't say you can't. You could do anything you really put your mind to, but it would be very difficult to shift from one wave to another wave without time and practice. And your brain, just like your muscles, learns through repetition. So I encourage everybody to try for a week, every day for 5 minutes, just for a week. Give it a shot and try to experiment with it. Try different sounds, try different rhythms. Now let's talk about binaural beats, right? This is all over the internet now. There's apps for binaural beats. There's everything you can think of. Why binaural beats do they actually work? So what binaural beats actually do is they help connect the right and the left side of the brain. We have our right and left side of the brain have different jobs that they do. And when we're in balance, excuse me, when we feel really balanced, generally the right and the left side of the brain are flowing. The blood flow is very nice, and we're, maybe integrated and doing something we love, and we're in that flow state. So binaural beats, basically what the belief is it's offering you two different kinds of beats, that one that your right side of the brain responds to and one that the left side of the brain responds to. So when you have two different beats that your two sides of the brain can connect to, you get a type of balance. So try it. I have clients that love it. They swear by binaural beats. They go to bed with binaural beats. They love them. So those are a free way to start experimenting. So now you have all these different tools that you can try to figure out what works best for you. Is it running water? I love listening to running water. I love ocean waves. Okay. Does that mean it's going to be great for you? Not necessarily, right? Movement is my biggest regulator, right? If I don't move my body, I don't feel right. So I try to incorporate moving every single day. I don't care if it's 3 minutes of stretching, if it's an hour of yoga. Roxy agrees. My dog is out here with me on a leash. She's agreeing. Hey, pets are another thing. Why do pets regulate us? Because the feeling of touch creates an actual brainwave. It creates alpha and theta state. So when you're sitting there and you're just petting your dog and petting your cat or whatever kind of pet you have, something's actually happening. And a lot of times I've had clients in deep depressions and deep grief, and I always tell, oh my God, get a pet. Get a pet. You will change your life. Of course, that comes from someone who has 3 dogs, but there's other things that come with dogs, like responsibility and whatnot, but they get you out. They give you a purpose. So all of these things can be very helpful, and they're not just talking and thinking. There are other ways of intervention. Dancing, I think, is amazing. And you don't have to be a pro-am dancer like myself to enjoy dancing. And a lot of times I'm just bopping around, put on some music and bop around. Your problems will be there for you when you're done, right? You're not losing anything by teaching yourself to get into this state of being. We make the best decisions about our life, about our finances, our health, our relationships, all the things that are really important. We make those best decisions when we are regulated, meaning we're not in beta, we're not in shutdown, we're in alpha, theta, and gamma. So when you understand these frequencies that the brain naturally produces, and now you have all these different possibilities of things to try, and you understand now why it works, you can start giving them a try. I would say, not be careful, I would caution a lot of the different beats and the different gigahertz of vibration that you'll find on YouTube will say frequency of wealth, frequency of God, frequency of angels. Listen, I mean, whatever. You know what I mean? If it makes you feel good to think that, then do it, by all means. But understand that the real magic is in finding that sound that connects to your brain wavelengths, which then sends peaceful signals into your body, and all the stress responses, the stomach aches, the migraines, the headaches, the skin irritation, the foot pain, the back pain, the neck pain, the shoulder pain, all the things that stress makes us just tighten up and squeeze and contract, everything can be released in these by experimenting with different waves of sound and different frequencies. Now, another important thing that, again, I will swear by is meditation and energy healing. These things shift our state almost immediately. Okay, so Reiki, I'm a Reiki master. Whether you believe that I'm actually manipulating life force energy or you just think it's relaxing is irrelevant, right? It doesn't matter what you think about it. What matters is the results. Does this work for me? Instead of overthinking and analyzing, is energy healing real? Does it work? Who cares? Try it and see if it works. So in energy healing, I always start off with a meditation. When I guide someone through relaxation, what I'm doing is I'm taking them from the state of stress and overthinking at beta, and I'm bringing them down or up, you could say, down, or I'm bringing them up actually to a higher frequency. I'm bringing them from stress response, fight or flight, freeze, into alpha, then theta, then gamma. And yes, I'm trained to do this. I've been doing it for, I've been doing meditation for probably 14 years, fairly religiously. And I've gotten so good at it from doing it so frequently that I can shift almost instantly into another state of frequency. But I wasn't born doing this. I put time and effort into it, and I'm here to help teach people how to do it. There's many, many ways of healing that are effective in addition to or aside from talking and thinking. Talking and thinking are very helpful, but not all the time. And sometimes when we just want relief, it's good to have these things in your toolbox and understand how they work so that you can utilize them and really make some serious changes. Or you can call me and book a session and we can do it together. And I can teach you virtually. I can teach you how to do this. I can teach you how to do yoga. I can teach you how to stretch. I can teach you how to meditate. I do energy healing and, of course, therapy. And all of the things that I bring to you are things that are getting you from those lower, stucker frequencies of stress and cortisol release in the body into these, more pleasant states of being. And that's where magic happens. That's where you become present. And you can see the beauty of the world. You can see the butterflies and all the other beautiful things I'm seeing, the sunshine, listen to the birds chirping. When you're in a state of stress, it's impossible because your brain literally narrows in on one thing and it becomes hyper vigilant on this one thing, and everything else gets shut out. And again, our brain is designed this way to inherently protect us and keep us to survive. That's why I believe we're designed this way, to keep us alive, to keep us safe. But again, as things change and technology changes and life changes, we too must change, and we must understand, okay, our body is designed like this, but I could teach and train my body to respond however I want. And this is the truth. So when I do Reiki healing on clients, like for me now, just putting my hand on my heart instantly just makes me relax because I've trained myself to do this. Okay. In Reiki healing, I'm actually trained to take these, you could say, the energy from the brain waves from the body. I've learned and trained myself and trained with many people to learn how to manipulate those energies in a way that benefits the client. So when most people, when they're having a Reiki session with me, they're so relaxed, they're almost sleeping. And many people do actually just conk out and fall asleep. Why? Because I took them from beta all the way to gamma. And anyone can do this, okay? There's nothing special about me. I've just dedicated my life to learning these tools and teaching them to other people. So you can learn just the same way I did on your own, or you can call and set up a session. Even if you do one session, you're going to learn a lot. And remember, I do not, I would never judge somebody, obviously, I'm a therapist, who is in a state of freeze and shutdown. Because not only am I trained to help people in this state, I've been there. And when you're really depressed and you're in deep grief, you feel like you can't move physically because the energy is so heavy. You're carrying around so much heavy energy that you somatically in your body, you really feel like you can't move. And emotionally, you're carrying so much weight, the weight and the baggage of what the exterior world may be giving you. And we're trying to survive these difficult times. And when we're thinking and thinking and thinking and talking and talking and talking, sometimes that could even make it worse. So there are sessions where I just take one look at my client and I say, today we're doing sound healing. Today we're going to do Reiki. Today we're going to do meditation because you are so anxious or you are so depressed that talking and thinking is not going to be helpful. So it's important that when you are going to somebody for therapy, if it isn't me, that you want to know what other skills do they have besides talking. Some therapists are, integrative and some are not. I'm extremely integrative. I use many different methods, and I'm very excited to share with you and help you understand how to shift your state quickly. And this is actually called neuroplasticity. That's the scientific name for it. When we have neuroplasticity, that means that we can change brain states very quickly. That we're aware of the state that we're in. We know when we're in beta, when we're having stress response, when we're overthinking, we become aware of it immediately. And then through practice, we learn how to immediately shift that state into one of calm, peacefulness, where insight can arrive, where really deep relaxation happens. And those are the alpha, theta, and gamma states. These are scientifically measurable. They are real. This is not made up stuff. But how you get into those states that are so preferable is up to you. It's up to you to decide, okay, what works for me. Sometimes what I do if I feel really anxious one day is I will immediately do a 20-minute yoga practice. All I need is to just move my body and breathe for 10 to 15 minutes, and I'm out of it. But you have to decide, okay, is that the best way, movement like Elizabeth? Do I like to move and dance and hear the beat? Does my frequency connect with that? Or am I better off putting on a good music or putting on these different beats that are available for free on YouTube? Or do I want to listen to a slow song? Or do I just want to close my eyes and breathe? Any of it can work. Now, now that we understand how the sound healing mechanism works after today's show, you can share this with people. You can save this video. I hope you'll save this video and share it with the people you love, because this is information for literally everybody. And the more that we understand that we are all connected and we're all one big human family, the more we're willing to help ourselves and help each other. And sharing this video is just a way of showing love. Hey, I saw this today, and this therapist, who's been a therapist for 18 years and specializes in grief, does integrated therapy, and she talked about how to very quickly shift our state of being. And here it is. And again, the world is yours. You can go on YouTube and look for binaural beats if you like. You'll see, I've noticed there's a lot of YouTube videos that say gamma state activation. So is by listening to these beats, does that automatically put you in gamma? I would say probably not. And that's why people get really frustrated, because the way it's presented. What I think a more truer way of saying it is, here's some lower vibrational or higher vibrational frequencies I made on my computer, and check it out and see if it helps you get into more of a natural state of being. See if that works. See if that helps. And again, it could be trees rustling in the wind. It could be the ocean. Find what works for you and have fun with it. Experiment. Dance around your house. Take a walk around the block. Try putting on different sounds. And, another thing that a lot of sound healers use are pitchforks. Tuning forks, because they give off a vibration. And you can even on YouTube find people using tuning forks, using sound bowls, which are these big glass bowls that people use, like these rubber or different material mallets to create sounds and vibration. And you can try those out too. But when you find the right sounds, when you find the right frequency, you'll know, because you will get the result you want. You will shift state almost immediately. Let's say within 5 minutes. Okay? So, wrapping up today's message. Thinking is not always the answer. We are taught how to think our way through every problem and debate it and think it and talk it out with everyone and everything. And I'm saying, as a talk therapist, that is not always the right thing for you. It can be largely helpful, but there are some days where our emotional state is just so off, we don't even feel like talking to anyone. And these things that I shared in this video are free, and there's things that you can do immediately. What's wonderful about technology is we have access to so much. You also understand that if you want to do talk therapy that's integrative, that incorporates talk therapy with an experienced practitioner, that can co-regulate with you, that will use sounds, meditation, drum beats, movement, Reiki healing, all of these things are available to you. If I'm your therapist, if you call me and you use me, you have access to all of this. And when people come to therapy, they're usually in a beta state, completely stressed out, or they're in a frozen shutdown state of grief and depression. So what we do in therapy is not only talk about it and get perspective and insights and learn, but we also get exposed to all these wonderful rhythmic tools that can help you shift your state of being really fast. I specialize in grief and loss, but I work with largely anything. Anyone who is having a hard time right now is a good candidate for therapy. I would say that my particular client would be someone who is willing, ready, and able to do whatever it takes to feel better. That's it. Whatever it takes, because in therapy with me, it's very incredibly effective, but it's intense. I'm very present. I'm very here. I'm very aware. I'm very in tune to you. And my wish is to help everybody feel better. So that's simple. So if you're thinking about me, like, I wonder if I want to try Elizabeth out, please visit my website, upliftmeliz.com, and you can text me privately and I'll read your text. You can call me. Don't send an email because I don't check them every day. So if you want to get in touch with me really fast, send a text message to my cell phone. It's all over. It's on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. It's on my website. Just shoot me a text. Say, hi, this is Sally. I'm calling because I want to, learn more about working with you, and I will call you back. And we can talk about setting up a healing program that works just for you, right? No two people are alike. So I don't necessarily have one specific method. I am integrative. And so we use lots of different methods to get you feeling better as soon as possible. So I hope to hear from you, and I would really appreciate it if you would like and share this video. After my lives are finished, I post them on YouTube. So you can just go to YouTube and type in @upliftme, and my page will pop up. And you can see this again. You can save it now, or you can revisit it tomorrow on YouTube. And I send lots of love and healing vibrations to everybody out there. Don't give up. Feelings are temporary, and we can shift our state of being very quickly once we just give it a try. So I hope to see you and hear from all of you very soon. Much love. Signing off from sunny Florida. Have a great day, everybody.